Hi everyone, welcome back to TechBits, and today's topic is to build cross-platform .NET Core applications for Windows and Ubuntu. By now, there are many applications are running on multiple platforms. For an instance, Netflix is running seamlessly on PC, mobile devices, and TV box. These platforms exist based on customer preferences and needs. In order to sustain the existing customers or prospect customers, organizations have to bring their applications into these multiple platforms. Is this can be achieved by developing different applications on each platform? Well, it looks so messy and it's so much code to be maintained and difficulty in bringing the consistency among all the versions. So finally, we will be ending up with so many bugs and expensive software and not able to meet the time to market strategy. So developing a cross-platform applications is a feasible solution to come across to fix this issue, right? So there are a couple of phrases which are very often used interchangeably. One is cross-platform, another one is platform independent. The cross-platform implies to support multiple platforms, whereas platform independent also implies to support multiple platforms but based on language support. There are many frameworks available in market for developing cross-platform applications like Xamarin, React Native, Flutter, and etc. Whereas for developing the platform independent applications, there are many languages also available in it. For an instance, Java, Python is there from the few decades. To that list, .NET Core is adding. Before getting into some hands-on, before creating a .NET Core application which is targeting to multiple platform, let's understand few things that .NET Core supporting in terms of publishing modes. There are a couple of publishing modes. One is framework dependent, another one is self-contained. Framework dependent says that you need to have the .NET Core runtime installed on a target machine. Here we would like to run our application on both Windows and Linux. The prerequisite for framework dependent publish modes is you need to install .NET Core runtime on respective operating system. So we will be bundling only the application DLLs on a specific operating system which is .NET Core runtime is installed so that our applications will be running. This is framework dependent. In a self-contained, we need to distribute your application DLLs along with .NET Core runtime. So in self-contained, the operating system or the host machines doesn't contain runtime. We need to distribute along with our application DLLs. So here, keep a note that there is a slight difference when we are installing a .NET runtime, whole set of shared binaries, shared core libraries will be installed, whereas in the self-contained, you will be using a trimmed version of .NET runtime, meaning you will be using the framework binaries whichever is adequate for running your applications, which is a trimmed version of .NET runtime. This self-contained deployment is very much suitable or candidate for containerization. We just finished a little bit of theory and let's get our hands dirty now. Okay, so to demonstrate the platform independent or the developing cross-platform applications, I created a small console application in .NET Core which is called Platform Independent Demo, in which we have a program.cs file is there which will print the current version of operating system in which the application is running. So in the right side we have a folder explorer which is showing the directory structure or file structure of the project. Underneath, a PowerShell command, PowerShell open targeting to the current project directory. Okay, So we have a bin folder. All our published files will be copied by default. Within that, we have a debug and binary files are there. I will quickly give an overview on how those commands will work. I'm selecting this folder, bin debug folder under the specific version. See, this currently this folder is empty. I can give .NET space build. This command builds the project with framework dependent publish mode, and it will copy all the files in the current in the bin debug directory. So there is another option available to mention. If you would like to target to the specific operating system, we need to mention the runtime identifier within the command. So this is .NET build. By default, if you're running this, whatever be the current platform, the binaries will be created for that particular platform. But if you would like to target to any other platform like Ubuntu, then we need to mention it explicitly. That is .NET build hyphen R means specifies that runtime identifier, and we can give Ubuntu dot I would like to target to Ubuntu 18.04 version when x64 bit. Okay, let's run this and see all my build files will be copied into this particular folder. If you see, there is a slight difference is there. There are many files are copied into Ubuntu folder. As and when you're mentioning the runtime identifier, the build will be published based on self-contained mode. By default, it will be doing with a framework dependent mode, so that where you didn't mention any runtime, it is go with a framework dependent mode, so you can see very limited files. But as and when you mention the runtime identifier, you will be having all set of binaries which is required, which includes your application DLLs along with the trimmed runtime. Yes. Now, this is how we can build. I would like to show you one more thing, that if you are incorrectly giving your runtime identifier, you have given in some additional character here, and you clicked on enter, it is not identified. You cannot build your project successfully in case if you are giving incorrect runtime identifier. So make sure you are providing runtime identifiers correctly. So, but in real-time implementation, we are not going to use a build, rather we will be using publish option, where the files are very much removed with unnecessary stuff which is required for debugging, which is going in a release mode. So within this solution, I would like, if you can replace these commands with publish, instead of .NET build, if you give replace with publish, it will publish all the files. The similar thing we can also do through uh, Visual Studio. So I would like to show those options. Right click on a project and go to publish. You can see we can create any publish profile here. Publish basically says that after building your project, where you need to copy your file, how to bundle your files, that is going to explain you in publish. For an instance, I will quickly create a new profile. So it will tell you whether you want to publish your files into Azure or Docker container or a folder. For this demo, I'm selecting a folder and click next. Finish it, and I want to change few other configurations here. Click on edit. I want to publish my file targeting to Ubuntu operating system, but it was not listing. Of course, the Linux x64 is there, which is compatible to Ubuntu, but I want to have a portable version for the Linux, that is Ubuntu 18 or 20 version. So this was not listing here. What to do? For that, we need to change the project file for this solution. Right click and edit project file, add one line, that is runtime identifiers, and you can give multiple identifiers with semicolon separated values. I can specify if I want Windows x64, and I also would like to see Ubuntu dot 18.04 hyphen x64 version. So I want these two runtime identifiers included here. For that, now you go to publish screen, publish your project, and edit. You can see the target runtime with Ubuntu now. This is how for simplicity I quickly added few. These are called profile. You can save this information, and one profile can target to Windows with fixed framework dependent, and another profile you can create for deployment mode with Windows or targeting Windows operating system with self-contained. This is also can be repeated to Ubuntu and several other operating systems. For demo purpose, I already created few profiles, Windows 64 framework dependent and Windows 64 self-contained, and as well as Ubuntu 64 framework dependent and Ubuntu 64 self-contained. So let's quickly publish them. So publish by default will go to release folder. Right now it is empty. Now let's build all our files. Okay, so I'm not going to use command prompt for now. I'm only target on this folder directory. Now I'm selecting Windows 64 framework dependent, publish them. You can see all the files will be copied into specific folder. In a profiles, we can also mention the target location. Here I'm mentioning bin release publish. In this specific folder, I want to copy all my framework dependent deployments, publish files. Same way, we can also publish self-contained, and I'm publishing it. It is created, and for Ubuntu framework dependent, I'm publishing them. Similarly, the files will be created for Ubuntu as well, for fixed and self-contained. The difference here is the framework dependent and self-contained. The file size, that means the packaging size, will be huge for the self-contained because it is going to hold the application DLLs along with the runtime. That's the reason it is huge. Okay, as I said earlier, the self-contained will be ideal for containerization. Okay, let's see our publishing was successful, and let's see whether how they are running. Okay, so I'm just going to framework dependent. I'm going to command prompt, opening command prompt here, and running the platform dependent demo. So here I'm just giving dir listing the files. Yes, my file is available here, framework dependent exe. So sorry, platform dependent demo exe run. Yes, it is printing the operating system version. Now let's see the Ubuntu specific files are running in the operating system. For that, I have a Ubuntu virtual machine, and I will be copying all my publish files into a shared folder, and that folder I'm going to mount it on my Ubuntu virtual machine. So far I copied my published files targeting to different operating system Ubuntu with framework dependent and self-contained, copied to shared drive, PI demo and publish folders. So now this shared folder can be accessed from my Ubuntu virtual machine running in my machine. Just spin up my Ubuntu operating system, which is running here. I mounted that shared drive onto Ubuntu desktop practice shared folder. So it will prompt ask you to provide Ubuntu password and as well as Windows password to connect that shared folder so that I can access all the files. You can see I just ls list the directories which are available in that. You can see the Ubuntu 64 FD, Ubuntu 64 self-contained deployments are available. Just move on to the specific directory, change directory to Ubuntu 64 FD. First of all, I will go with framework dependent and uh, and you can give a platform independent demo and enter. Let's see the Unix 5.4, which is the operating system version it is showing. So this is how we can prove the means like the .NET Core application seamlessly working on Windows and as well as Linux. Whenever you're running on Windows, it is shown that operating system as Windows NT. When you're running on Linux, sorry, Ubuntu, it is showing it as Unix 5.4. So we can also move back to the directory where in which we have a self-contained deployment is also there. I'm just moving my directory to Ubuntu um, self-contained and give run the platform independent demo file. So this is how it is also running, meaning both self-contained and framework dependent files are running. So in my machine, the framework dependent files are also running because I have already having .NET version installed. How can you know that? .NET hyphen hyphen version. So I have already installed .NET framework. So the framework dependent files is also running. If you didn't install .NET framework in your machine, then self-contained deployment only will works. This is how we can develop .NET core applications which is running on both Windows and as well as Linux, meaning cross-platform application. Thanks for your time. Let's meet in the next session.